especially appreciate all of you local medias for standing up, giving a good cover to what was, in my view, one of our big days in our country. May 22nd, 2023 will go down as a time in which we reach out to the first biggest economy and the fourth or fifth biggest economy. And by the way, India is ascending to be the third biggest economy or fourth biggest economy very soon. So it was a big day for us. We had a reach to over 1.4 billion Indian people, as well as we had a reach back to USA in a manner in which we have not reached every now and then for our country, but we are promoting our country from a tourism perspective, promoting our country for trade and investment. We were linked to two big markets in a big way like never before. I just want to also indicate to you the entire Pacific Island nations who were with us. We had a full house. Everyone from the Pacific turned up, and at the highest. The only two non-head of government or head of state was federal state of Micronesia, was 17 the minister, one of the ministers, and I guess the rest have their presidents or prime ministers in attendance. Our full respect to Papua New Guinea for its placing in as far as our role in the Pacific to be able to advocate for our small island nations in our Pacific. So it was really historic for us as a country to host the two big world leaders, as well as our full house from the Pacific, including the Prime Minister who came in for our own bilateral, as well as a meeting with the defense, rather with the United States Secretary of State. Key outcomes that we've achieved with India, for instance, I just want to indicate, apart from the meeting with FIPIC and for the Pacific Island, and by the way, India was gracious in the offer support to the Pacific, and much of the support, for instance, setting up of a specialist heart facility in India, I beg your pardon, in Fiji. For us in Port Moresby, the continued partnership with UPNG, with the Internet Center, the ICT Center, and giving support to the Pacific for solar solutions in as far as electricity is concerned, giving support to the Pacific for desalination, and also hearing, more importantly, hearing a voice that Pacific and PNG needs support for our small island communities and the small island state. I thought it was a good outcome. Indian Prime Minister went out with fullest assurance to all of us who attended that Pacific has been had, and we will work to assist the Pacific Island communities and also Papua New Guinea in a big way. For Papua New Guinea, I want to inform all of us that we are stepping up our work with India going forward from here. India offers us a third alternative in the way we relate with nations and economies around us. Many in our contemporary conversation talks about the China-USA issues. Many talk about the East-West issues. For me, for Papua New Guinea, India coming up close is a big market opening for our exports, a big market opening for the import of actual trade materials, import capacities into Papua New Guinea, and we have made great headways. And I will be sending Minister Maru and the team to go to India, progressing issues that was raised, so that we don't repeat the downfalls of APEC 2018, where talk was made, but there was no follow-through. Of course, APEC 2018 is not a targeted conversation. difference with APEC 2018 was that you had a generic meeting where all nations come in, talk about trade, and all go back based on general conversations. The meeting we had with India on last Monday was a targeted meeting at the highest between Indian Prime Minister and Papua New Guinea Prime Minister. And that relationship established, I am now dispatching a team of key ministers, especially in the area of trade, higher education and health. They will go work with India for us to source in what we need to source in as far as our commercial interests, our business interests, and our educational and health interests. Talk about education and health, our accessibility through the Indian ICT platform for education, for electoral commission work will be ramped up, as well as our access to the Indian pharmaceutical at the government-to-government level. I did indicate already we want to get high quality, low-priced, low-cost medicine direct from the factories instead of through secondary and tertiary supply sources. I will be working also with India. There's a special technical college to be set up here that will also bring Indian-based technologies into our country, and we will work with the Indian government to expand and partnering one local vocational school here, as well as our national government will offer campus land here for us to set up a specific technical school that will bring in Indian trade courses, Indian skill courses, as we work to support our SME focus area, supporting the SME sector to grow. And I want to announce to our country some of these that we have secured as a result of meeting India Prime Minister establishing the rapport and contact with him. I want to convey his appreciation to the entire Papua New Guinean people, the culture group, the children from Kido village who came out and met him, as well as everyone who had a hand in making sure his stay was successful. He said he went away with full appreciation of what Papua New Guinea is, and rephrasing his acknowledged that Papua New Guinea is not a small island state. Papua New Guinea is a big island country with its own fair set of challenges and needs. And he looks forward to working with Papua New Guinea at the bilateral level very strongly, but also collectively as Papua New Guinea works to advocate and show support for smaller island Pacific nations. On the issue of smaller island Pacific nations, I want to inform every one of you, Papua New Guinea will continue to play a lead role in sourcing support at global forums for our small island nations. They came into Port Moresby, PNG, knowing fully well the role PNG plays. We are a big economy in terms of size and scale in the Pacific. We have big landmass, and I want to indicate to Papua New Guineans, whilst they may be small island by landmass in the blue Pacific, the sea space is big. I want to let it out known to everyone. It is no secret that a special interest in my heart is the economic advancement of Papua New Guinea. Deep in the seas of Pacific are marine resources, fish and tuna. We supply the world with over 60% of the world's tuna from Pacific waters. Papua New Guinea alone, about 20% of the world's tuna is sourced from our PNG waters. And so the security of our marine resources is important. And for me, I am mobilizing the Pacific Island nations to realize the enormous big pool of resources we have in our sea, fish and tuna. And so we're trying to mobilize this. I did indicate in my specific bilaterals. I don't know whether newspapers are covering those bilaterals. I met with all the other Pacific leaders, but I've met all the Pacific leaders that have come with small individual bilaterals with each and every one of them. And for the small Micronesian nations, for instance, they don't have the land availability in their own atolls and islands. Indicate to them that the Medang maritime industrial zone that we are developing, as well as others, like Manus or New Island, that we will develop going forward into the future. We're willing to give them land space for them to bring in their catch onshore, find their investors onshore, process their fish, and then export out to the world in and around us. At the moment, all our Pacific fish are found in some of our Asian neighbors, and branded as Thailand fish, Philippine fish, Indonesian fish, Vietnam fish. This is job loss to outside, and I make my apologies to making this the same vein of my conversation with getting back from our mining resources to other resources. And so in the long run, we're working to hopefully mobilize the combined wealth, and Fiji Prime Minister did indicate a common wealth of the Pacific, as it did indicate. Well, we're trying to mobilize the Pacific into one family, and hopefully in time, harness the resources of the sea and process them in big land-massed nations like PNG, Solomon Islands, Vanuatu, Fiji, and for Papua New Guinea, we are talking maritime industrial zone. We've allocated 100 million kina, it is sitting there. We make sure power, water, and the port is ready. That place will be the easiest and earliest open for business. And I've invited Nauru, Federal State of Micronesia, Kiribati, Palau, all this to have an address in the this special economic zone for us to go into processing fish in Papua New Guinea to be exported as a product from their own country. So these are some of the strategic things that was discussed. I just thought I want to inform our country. We will not wasting time hosting these meetings. Whilst government-to-government relationships were maintained and established further, deep inside lies your country's economic interest and of course the economic interest of the smaller island nations who own substantial sea resources, including fish and tuna. I want to go over to the conversation on the Defence Cooperation Agreement and with the seat-right agreements and other matters we've discussed with Antony, Secretary of State Antony Blinken. Let me inform everyone through this media conversation this afternoon. National government don't engage or work without following due processes. The country must trust the processes of government that we have in place. We have the legal check and balance mechanisms installed in our government processes. We have the legal, financial, and treasury check and balance mechanisms put in place in the government processes. Of course, we have the processes that Prime Minister Department manage, which is the cabinet processes. All these processes are check and balance to ensure whatever we do are consistent with law and are in harmony with all sister laws and the main matter of our country's laws, which is our national constitution. And so, again, needless to repeat, but the defense cooperation is very much similar to the defense cooperation we have with Australia, we have with Indonesia, to name just two. The USA Defense Cooperation would be made public as the process is complete when Parliament is in custody of this agreement. The document will be issued to everyone. I want to apologize to University of Papua New Guinea. I was the one who proposed that they go to UPNG today to present a conversation on this one. We'll receive word back from the University Council that the students are now preparing for examinations. Allow them to prepare for examinations. Let them sit the exam. After they sit the examinations, we can engage in this conversation. Last night I had an address at the University of Technology. I was visiting late for a program of Wafi and the university students were there. I had to drop in. They received me very well. I want to say thank you to the University of Technology students for the maturity and the honesty and sincerity to know what is best for the country. And we had a good meeting. I did inform them that there would be a team from the State Solicitor's Office, if not the State Solicitor himself, the Defense Secretary, the Foreign Affairs Secretary, and the Chief Secretary's Office, to visit UNITEC and UPNG. We would have done UPNG today, but because of study and exam coming up, it is deferred to after exams. In those engagements, the country will be exposed to 2 or more of the defense cooperation agreements we have with our other neighbors. These are nations we've had bilateral partners with for many, many years. Defense cooperation agreements do exist. Today with USA, it's a similar agreement done in the context of having specific relationship with USA. We've always had relationship with USA and other nations since 1975. 1989, the Status of Force Agreement brought in 5 or 6 nations together, namely Australia, New Zealand, UK, France, USA, possibly Indonesia and others, to have a relationship with our military and their military. Those have governed how we have operated. I want to assure all of you, the elevated defense cooperation agreement now comes within the ambit, elevating sections of the SOFA agreement into a specific defense cooperation agreement that is now tailored for USA. Again, just like I mentioned earlier, my interest to mobilize my sea resources, my interest to ensure for our country we have a defense in our international borders, land border, sea border, sky border. This one is not done by regular police or anyone for that matter. The protection or maintenance of our sovereign border is done by our defense force. At the moment, our defense force, and if national government were to make intervention in a normal budgetary process, our defense capacity will not be ramped up to the scale we want within the next 10, 15 years. That is the reason why this specific partnership with USA is now enabling us to access capacity improvement, enabling us to access infrastructure improvement, and enabling us to also gain from domestic security as well as border security. And I will give you an example. A ship rider agreement was also signed. This one now allows our Navy and U.S. Coast Guard to work in partnership. As they work in partnership, PNG now for the first time has visibility over all our waters and our airspace. Who is flying in? Who is traveling into waters? Is it a flag ship? Is it a marked ship? What is it doing in our waters? Or what is this plane doing now in our airspace? All this thing is going on as we speak. This is to add value to the security of our economy and protection of our borders. All this is not meant to harm us. I want to assure all of you, and I think National didn't cover, I didn't read too deep into what was covered, but someone sent me the cover page on the Chinese ambassador, making mention that they have no issue whatsoever. That is to confirm we have been in engagements. The Chinese embassy here and government knows the work we're doing with the USA today and USA's of past. Like USA knows the work we do with Chinese today and Chinese governments of past. All matters while maintaining certain element that is only for state information. The general knowledge that Papua New Guinea relates to all, as a friend of all nations that has bilateral relations with us, but the specifics of it we have defined. And I want to indicate to all that we're working on a foreign policy paper that will define exactly how we relate to all nations that we have a bilateral relationship. Some nations we relate in terms of trade as well as security. Some nations we relate on trade, economy, and government. Some nations we relate in other areas. PNG is placed in a very unique position today. We are in the center of East and West, North and South, in a place of earth that will be where commerce and trade is vibrant going on for the next 100 years. And so, evidently, you saw over the weekend, our traditional partnership with the southern part of us remains. Australia is a straight and committed partner to Papua New Guinea. Australia and New Zealand remain. They were present in the meeting we held with the Pacific Island leaders and India and USA. from the south, from the west, from us, India comes into the picture. From the north of us, China, Japan, and I will announce later I'm visiting South Korea Sunday and Monday, and I'll be meeting the president of South Korea. And so, right north of Papua New Guinea, we have access to Japan, access to South Korea, we have access to China. I met, last year I met the Taiwanese Prime Minister, I met the Taiwan King, I beg your pardon, Thailand Prime Minister and Thailand King, and Philippines President I met. So Papua New Guinea has good relationship with all countries in and around us. I just want to inform all of us, fear not, it is not to bring trouble into our doorsteps. A nation must relate with other nations. And in all these engagements, my government is committed to the economic progress of this country. We don't want to remain the same quagmire of weak country with small economy that is not able to sustain a growing population. We want to fix this, and much of my engagements outside is to find investments and businesses. But guess what? As I travel outside, the major question they all ask me is your country safe? Is your country safe? Now, having investment with U.S. military is the biggest tick we can get for safety aspect of our country. For people who have a concern, oh, we bring trouble into our doorsteps, let me inform you all. Singapore, for instance, has a military relationship with USA for 50 years and has an economic relationship and government relationship with China the same period. Today, as I speak, nations in our region, Australia has a DCA with USA. Indonesia has a DCA with USA. Philippines has a DCA, and possibly they've now moved to treaty with USA. Japan has a specific military relationship with USA. South Korea, I'm visiting on Sunday and Monday, has a deep security relationship with USA. These nations are advanced economies. They're advanced economies. At the back of secure relationship with the #1 military on the face of planet Earth, you are thinking of one of the big questions in the minds of investors. Is your economy safe and secure? And so I want to assure everyone out there, we are not in the process of destroying our country, but we're in the process of securing our country and making our country going better. And just to assure each and every one of you, if it doesn't work in 15 years, as I get out close, 15 years. Now, this is not a public lecture for me to go, it's a media conference, but for those of you here in the media, I want to ask you, where were you 15 years ago? 15 years ago was 2008. Dorothy, correct? We were still alive in the last 15 years. But have we progressed much in securing the borders of our country and make our country safe? No, unfortunately. And so sometimes we have to do something out of the box. Instead of USA now coming to a third party into PNG, we're opening direct line. Washington, Waigani, Pentagon, Marape, and the work to flow on, working with them. And this does not compromise Papua New Guinea's military and business relations with Australia, Papua New Guinea's business, government, and security relationship with China, Papua New Guinea's relationship with all nations we relate to. With USA, it does not compromise them. We still maintain our relationship with other countries, but we're now giving a specific relationship focus with USA, elevating from the SOFA of 1989 to ensure this is staged and signed, and for us to work the next 15 years. I want to indicate that substantial infrastructure interventions will be made as a result of this one. Secretary Blinken has made it no secret, over $6 billion worth of infrastructure investment will be made in the Pacific region. I have not got out, and we have not progressed to the next stage of the work with USA in what they will do in the region. But knowing that PNG is 80% of Pacific by population, 80% of Pacific by landmass, 80% of Pacific by economy, and PNG is the last Pacific nation linking into Asia, there will be a substantial input of this envelope set aside for military investment. This is not just pure war hardware and military equipment. More of this will be spent on infrastructure development, port developments, airport developments, road developments, housing installations, and all this work. And there are 4 or 5 specific areas in our country that is looked at for enabling infrastructures. And those infrastructures are developed. They will not be exclusive for military use. They will be for use. Only when they need to use, they will seek our permission to use. Otherwise, it's for everyday public use. Government has looked into this fair and hard, and we felt instead of us borrowing money from US Exim, China Exim, or ADB, IMF, World Bank to develop its infrastructures, this agreement paves a way for us to bring in money that we would have been out there looking for a lender to finance our airport expenses, port expenses. We now bring in this facility to expand the port, airport, and highways infrastructures. And in 15 years' time, if it doesn't work for us, well, they will not take these ports and airports and infrastructure back with them. It remains as part of our economic infrastructures. So I want to assure each and every one of you, in all manners of consideration, your cabinet made a call. And I want you to travel with me 15 years into the history and look back. And if it is a wrong call, then you all can accuse me of making the wrong call. But in this point in time in our nation's history, we felt that a quick upgrade ASAP to our military and our infrastructures is important, and we made the Defense Cooperation Agreement with the USA. Without breaking any laws, there's no need for legal amendments, and the engagements with the US military is now upgraded under the umbrella of the Defense Cooperation Agreement. I want to also inform everyone, I was at Unitec last night. I got this impression on me to indicate to the country, considering the intellectual conduct of our students, apart from some who like every student protest, they will try to steer the protest from outside. But the general conduct of both UPNG and Unitec students needs to be commended. And I thought about this deep and long into the night. I will now look into send word to State Solicitor and Chief Secretary to look into the office of the Public Solicitor. The Office of the Public Solicitor as a key office to be looked at for any genuine complaint in society, especially key constitutional matters that the public feels that national government is doing, and they feel that it has offended our national interest. Then I'm working to look into this Public Solicitor's office to be an office prepared to have a handle on genuine complaints raised in society, so that at arm's length, this office can go to court and offer these public questions to the court, and the court can then check on the work of the executive government so that we keep each other in check. I want the country to know we are a nation of rule of law, and the rule of law must be facilitated by those of us who are educated. And our Western University student experiences, University of Papua New Guinea, Unitec, UOG, I thought the way they held themselves in 2023 was exemplary. without deep protest, banning, looting. They advocated on issues that need to be raised. Government went to them, received the petition, talked to them, they went back to class. I want to elevate this to a proper final conduit. Any issues, because public expression of right is citizens' right. It's I'm no lawyer, my memory is not failing me, but it is possibly a section 42 right in our constitution that public must, can express their dissent on anything. And I was thinking about this last night, and I thought the public solicitor office will be an office that government will look into opening up the scope of work, giving them resources, and if there is any issue public feels that they need to question the work of the executive government, then at arm's length, that office becomes a place of registering all these queries. They go to court, and the court will measure against the work of the government. And if it is found to be not in order, well, governments, not just my government today, but governments into the future, can make corrective actions, because country belongs to all. We need to be doing the right thing. And I just thought having that facility open for the public. At the moment, public solicitor office is used to assist people in terms of their everyday court cases. We want to open it up to be used for constitutional matters also, and big matters in society, so students don't protest and sacrifice their study time and raise those issues. They go back to school, but our office is funded through the courts for these matters to be arbitrated upon. So I thought I'd indicate this one. And lastly, but not the least for the moment, I will be leaving over the weekend to travel to South Korea. And again, we are traveling with all the South Pacific leaders. We're going to meet South Korea, Papua New Guinea. We'll have our own bilateral with the President of South Korea. Intent to again promote investments and sourcing investors also from them, but more importantly, promoting a point of export and to ramp up exports to Korea. And I'm running around meeting these leaders. They're telling me market is available. I just want Papua New Guineans to rise up in our own productions. If you do not want to produce, well, ground stuff, producing coffee, producing palm oil, producing cacao. These are things that we all can produce to export to these markets whilst awaiting our own downstream manufacturing to mature. And so I'll be traveling out. I want to inform the country. Deputy Prime Minister will once again act in my absence. It will be a week out of the country, and that again is just part of my rounds to ensure that PNG maintains link with some of the big economies that make the world go round in the area of commerce, trade, and politics. Any questions from anyone?
Prime Minister, speaking about Australia, the agreement with Australia, when are we likely to see the signing of Australian DCA agreement?
Well, thank you, Gorty. You possibly can write another story on this one, but we have the Defence Cooperation Agreement with Australia. They proposed to us, we've accepted a proposal for us to have a specific treaty. Treaty is higher than an agreement. And so those exchanges are going on at the moment. There were some issues we felt, and you know, our lawyers are not easy walkthrough. Our lawyers measure their work against our national constitution and the laws that govern our existence. So our lawyers return advice back to them saying that we need to tighten these areas. In fact, the leadership, we thought April 30. April 30 was supposed to be the time we enter into some sort of signing or not. That was agreed by myself and Prime Minister Albanese. But our lawyers advised me that we cannot meet this deadline. Some things are not in order. Please, you can quote me this one. I just want to inform the country that we don't walk into the signings unprepared or with no check and balance. Matters are signed and checked and processed. We don't run no takables. We run a country that is rule-based. Now, rules are all emanating from our national constitution. So some matters we felt were not consistent with our laws, and we've asked them to review them. And the matters have been sent back to our Australian team. They're looking at them, and once we are happy, they're happy, and it adds value to our relationship and does not compromise our sovereignty. It's also good for them and good for us that we will go into the treaty, but again, a due process of running. Some of these things, because they involve military and foreign partners also, the protocols of such work being progressed demands that it is kept below scrutiny at certain level until it is matured. But again, I want to assure everyone, we don't break our own laws in the way in which we check through these agreements. Every cabinet process, every government instruments that are being processed comes through the rigorous test of our own government check and balance process. And if someone cares to investigate state solicitor and the team working on this, we'll have inventory of all drafts that were done. The draft that Dominic Seki was circulating the other time, I don't know where he got it from. And I don't know what interest kind you see in Taiwan, in Papua New Guinea. I just want Taiwan to know that some of these things come from outside, not from within. From within, your country has your interest, not others' interest. If I could try to solve it this way. All right, anything else? My media, thank you to Moscow for supporting the last week. Get the relevant cuts through. And for those of you who have an uplink, it's good always to be transparent and allow people to know what is being spoken by the national leader. We have work, doing work for you. I want to encourage all of you, report fair and hard for your country and assist your country with positive experience. All right, by the way, you know, we have sold PNG to India like never before. And some people are complaining, oh, why Prime Minister going down on the election? Country premier may say, give two Lamadis for respect, said you less than Somali. Last time we were in Somali, last time we were 10 days before that. I mean, no foreign person. You are passing the respect to more senior man or not only. But that small gesture, unbeknown to me that it was also a Hindu culture, had a 1.4 billion hit. We could not have spent enough money to market PNG to the Indians. Just one activity that was, I never knew I was doing something that we so respect to us. Elder leader who came far away, would have ignored us and gone elsewhere, gone straight to Australia. Must respect must have our country. You talk to Big Lamar Prime Minister, he tied him on you must respect development. We gave him proper respect and he blended with his own culture. PNG too. When I go to Bougainville, the Bougainvilleans come and they throw water on my legs. Different part of our country, we have different ways of respecting the others. And so this is an elder from a faraway land coming to us. We have to respect him. You know that the Prime Minister of Biden Costa, he did not but we sold our country in the right context. We are a nation of respectable people. We know culture too. We have ethics. We give respect to a leader from a faraway place. And in one moment of act, over 1.4 billion Indians who never know Papua New Guinea got to know Papua New Guinea better. And so I just want to appreciate all of you. You all came out, the children who also, the kids who came out, he went away very, very impressed with the kids also. And everything that took place. So thank you to all Papua New Guineans. Every one of you played a part in selling our country. Let's promote our country as a good place for people to come in, enjoy life, live here with us. Thank you, Tomasa. God bless you.